I come from. The truth is an irony, just like animal farm. Justice mean inequity, so who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Christian can say silence, Islamic leaders silence, kings and queens silence, traditional leaders silence. So who go say the truth? We are the workers of composite call. Now by area, why no better? We are the workers of composite call. One guy's out here, why no better? Who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Oh, he needed to know see what I see so. Now your friend on a night come at them. Only papi obeka nice and yeah. So I want to bet you too. Everybody was afraid. And when Tina to my cottage again nine. Once my boy dumping one and I cheat. But who go tell the truth? Nanai or say a man. Nanso bien person beka wasam because everybody is afraid. Anya safwe muayini. Aku drop on yina dalima. And see who go say the truth? Obiaja konson so to cross your mansa to me be a cacobrafo. Efo anyina ye. Efo when you know yet. Na so kutrata down na so be dia back or why no keke. I fene for be man mo pia for efo ne cross on my mo. Hanya safwe mo ayini. Akuku drop for you na dalima. And see who go say the truth? Abaya di bote chino. Yedi bi bebo nyande bi. Kachisa would your mouth pipinuma. Would your mind never shine my frafonsa? But who go tell the truth? TUC silence. Even journalists silence. So then who go say the truth? Right is right. Wrong is wrong, no matter how you justify. You say you wanna get rid of corruption. Someone want to help you, now the person become your target. Jobless, no they mean senseless. Poverty, no they mean useless. One day, them go resist.
Good evening once again, and you are welcome to MyView show. Wherever you are, it's a pleasure to come your way once again. And please, you are watching us live on today's Ghana News TV with me, your host, Jerome. And let me also remind you once again that we are also live on Switch via satellite, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, all on today's Ghana News TV. And you can also follow us on Twitter and TikTok, as well as Postcard and Anchor FM. Good evening once again. And today on MyView, we want to look at the true state of the Ghanaian economy. Is it a reality or it is another piece of denial? Wherever you are welcome to the program. Keep sharing the link so that all our friends, all our colleagues, our relations would join us to understand the true state of the Ghanaian economy and where we found ourselves. And when we come back from this short break, I would introduce to you the guest for this evening's show. Once again, you are most welcome.
Waiting they happy for Africa. Dusty old men holding on to power, leading the people to where? The grave? Wicked criminal leaders. See them a come, them coming like an angel. But them a thief, them no say them a thief. Mr. President, you coming like a savior. But you a thief, you know say you a thief. Thief President, why a thieving so? Thief man, why a thief so? The people they must suffer, but you don't care so. Thief man, why a thief so? I see the people crying every day, yo. They want food, them can't find. I see the youth looking for a job, oh, every way, them can't find. Mr. President, him just belly full, oh. Him and the family, they no suffer, oh. Suffer, no poor man they suffer, oh. Suffer, rich man go they suffer. Suffer, no poor man they suffer, oh. Suffer, rich man they suffer, lie. See them a come, they coming like an angel. But them a thief, them no say them a thief. Mr. President, you coming like a savior. But you a thief, you know say you a thief. Thief President, why a thieving so? Thief man, why a thief so? The people they must suffer, but you don't care so. Thief man, why a thief so? Mr. President, why you dey lie so? Before election, you tell me you be angel. When you sick, you run go a London. When we sick, oh, we die for Kolebo. Mr. President, why you wicked so? Tell me how you dey sleep at night, oh. See them a come, they coming like an angel. But them a thief, them no say them a thief. Mr. President, you coming like a savior. But you a thief, you know say you a thief. Thief President, why a thieving so? Thief man, why a thief so? The people they must suffer, but you don't care so. Thief man, why a thief so? This is Mr. Traitor, Master of sleeping. This is Mr. Traitor, Master of sleeping. Yarambarayi Fiafiwo Alakpatowo Na Yeruya.
So, welcome back from our short break. And wherever you are, once again, you are live on MyView show. This evening, to help us express our views and our opinions on the true state of the Ghanaian economy, we have no other person other than Mr. Patrick Kofi Yankee. He is a proud product of the University of Cape Coast, UCC for short, where he obtained his first degree in economics. He holds, again, MBA, that's a Master's in Business Administration and Finance. And again, he has a Master of Science in Accounting and Finance as well. Currently, he's a lecturer at the Regent University College in Accra. Mr. Yankee, you are most welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Doc.
Wonderful. Great to have you. Of late,
as well.
Yeah, of late we've been having a lot of problems in our beloved country, and everybody, I think now, even my grandmother in the village now understands what the economy is. Every word economy runs through, and I'm pretty sure a lot more people, even though they've been hearing it, they do not really understand what it's all about. So we're very grateful that this evening you are part of this show to help us understand the true state of the Ghanaian economy. Can you just give us a pictorial view of it?
Thank you very much, Doug, and thank you for Today Ghana's News for the opportunity. Yeah, so Doug, You are right. It has been a time now, almost everybody, even our grandmothers, are now also talking about the economy. Yeah, so when you say the true state of the economy, you have to look at the structure of the economy. Yeah, so you could see that our economy, as far as we are concerned, the structure of the economy has not changed. The structure of the economy remains the same for the past 50 years, 30 years, 20 years, a decade ago. The structure of economy has remained the same. Ghana is an import-led economy. So if you visit any average supermarket, any grocery, as you people used to say it over there, grocery shops, you could see that over 80% of all the items in the grocery shops are imported. So the economy is an import-led economy where everything we import. We have not been able to continue what Dr. Kwame Nkrumah started, called the import substitution industry, whereby whatever we import, we will establish the company in Ghana so that we produce it in Ghana and then we don't import it because excessive importation is one major factor, the reason why our city keep on depreciating. Excessive importation is the main reason why our cedi keep on depreciating against the major currency, especially the dollar. So it's therefore important for us as a country to continue what Kwame Nkrumah started, the import substitution industry, to have most of the companies here, whatever that we import, we manufacture them here so that we will not be importing a lot, so that we will not put pressure on our city. Yeah. So basically, the Ghanaian economy is an import-led economy. In 2020 alone, we imported about 12 billion US dollar, and then you see, so when we are importing, we are using the dollar. Even now, when we are importing from China, we are importing from other European countries, we are using the dollar. So we put pressure on the dollar, and then the demand for the dollar is higher. And when the demand for something becomes higher, it becomes scarce. And then in economic scarcity, anything that is scarce is associated with higher price. It's higher price. So when we say the structure of the economy, it simply means that Ghana, as at now, we have not been able to manufacture some of the things that we consume. We use them here. However, we import everything, and it's a challenge. It's a challenge for us as a country. It's a challenge for us. So for example, now you see that we are doing well. When you look at our export balance, we are doing well. But these are also coming from oil. And then the oil that we are producing, we don't have much. We don't have much. Ghanaians, our percentage in the oil is not that much, so we cannot compensate the import. The same as the gold. The gold. We have been producing gold since time immemorial, yet we all the time we are having net export deficit. Our balance of trade is all the time deficit because we import more than we export. We import more than export. So basically, that is the structure of the Ghanaian economy. And these things pose a challenge, a serious challenge on our economy.
Yes, I was going to, when you talked about our production and our export of gold and export of oil, but I said our portion in it is just small. What does that mean?
Yeah, so the oil, for instance, because the investors investing in our oil are not Ghanaians, they are all foreigners. They are all foreigners. So when after the production, if we export it and we get the revenue, it's just a little that comes to our economy. The quantum of the revenue is sent. So, for example, these days, one of the major reasons why the city is depreciating is capital flight.
Capital flight.
Simply because the investors are taking their money away from our economy. So if you have listened to Bank of Ghana, they said especially the bond investment, non-rolling bonds. So non-rolling bonds means that the maturity date is due and we are not rolling it over. If you are not rolling it over, the bond is euro bond. So the investors are foreigners. So if you are not rolling it over, then they are taking their money away. Yeah. So that is how our economy is. So it's dominated by foreigners. It's dominated by foreign investors. So at any point in time they are leaving, it's a serious threat to our economy.
But this economy the structure of the economy hasn't changed, just as you rightly said. So what could be the problem? Because if you take, for instance, within our democratic dispensation, from Rawlings' time to His Excellency Jerry John Rawlings, to His Excellency Kufuor, right down to His Excellency Professor Mills, and then to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, it is the same structure that we have run through. What has happened, or what is different this time round? Because as we speak now, the Ghanaian cedi is the last but one worst performing currency in the world. What could be the problem? What is so unique about this time round?
Okay, so thank you very much again. When you have an economy which is import-led economy, whereby the structure has not changed, as we have said, it remains the import-led, the agrarian nature of our economy, and there is any shocks, external shocks, if there is any external shocks, the impact is very heavy. So this time around, you could see there's too much shocks in the economy. The COVID, the Russia, the Ukraine. Yeah, so there are a lot of shocks. So if you have not built a resilient economy, a robust economy, and there is external crisis, the impact will be very heavy. That is why, yeah, it is true. You made mention of the cedi depreciation. Yeah. So I think I have outlined three main reasons why our cedi is depreciating. And then the one is excessive importation that I made mention. Excessive importation, whereby we import everything. We have not been able to establish the companies here in order to produce the items here. Rather, we import everything and we use the dollar to import. So the dollar has become scarce, or the demand for the dollar is higher, and therefore the price will become higher. So another one is the dollarization. This economy is a dollarized economy. I have emphasized on this point several times that this economy is a dollarized economy. You are in Ghana, whereby everybody is interested in the dollar more than the cedi itself. Even the Bank of Ghana, that is supposed to be the central bank, the monetary authority to ensure stabilization. They themselves, Bank of Ghana, most of their transactions, they quote it in dollars. Government agencies, mineral commissions, if you have any transaction with the mineral commission, they quote it in dollars. If you have any transaction with EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, they quote it in dollars. Even school fees, elementary school, crèche, Montessori schools are quoting in dollars. Hotel bills are in dollars. So everything is in dollars. So whereby we prefer the dollar to our cedi, it also contributes to the cedi depreciation. So the dollarization nature of our economy is also giving us a serious problem. And it shouldn't be a difficult task for the central bank to stop this. It's just implementation to make sure that any transaction in this economy, we use the cedi, because we cannot go to other countries, especially where you live, that people will prefer using a different currency to the euro. No, it doesn't happen. Even in Nigeria, our sister country, Nigeria, you cannot go there and then talking about the dollar. You cannot go to Rwanda and talking about the dollar. They use their currency. So in Ghana, the dollarization has been too much. And this is where the policymakers, especially the central bank, has to make sure that, look, henceforth, we don't we don't put much pressure on the dollar, so that the dollar price will go up. Exchange rate is all about price, a price of two currencies. So when you are demanding the dollar, the demand for the dollar is higher, definitely the price of dollar will go up. So the dollarization is also a factor, a contributing factor to the cedi depreciation. Another one is the black market. Black market as a participant in the forex. We live in this country whereby if you want $100,000 right now, you go to the central market, Accra Central, and somebody is willing to give you the money, $100,000. So we have allowed ourselves, we have made it legal, even though it is illegal, that there is a black market. It doesn't happen anywhere. In Europe, it doesn't happen. In other countries, even in West African countries, in African countries, it doesn't happen. Whereby you can in Ghana, you can change any amount of dollar you want. Now, friends, family members are even saying they want to change their money in dollars and keep it. Because we have not put a system there. Now, even the dollar you want to change, why do you want to change your cedi into dollar and keep it? Why? There's no reason because the dollar to go up.
Maybe because the cedi is not stable, somebody wants to preserve his money, because if you have 200 Ghana today, because the cedi is depreciating at a very high rate, in a week's time, it becomes valueless to you. But before we even get to that point, you did mention that even the Bank of Ghana made quotations in the dollar.
Yes.
And this the Bank of Ghana is supposed to control the system. Now, the Bank of Ghana itself is failing us. Yes. So it means that it's a systematic failure of the entire process that is affecting the entire country as well.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the Bank of Ghana is supposed to be a neutral system. It should not be affected by political change or what have you. But from what we are seeing now, and from your own experience, that the Bank of Ghana is making quotations in the dollar, where do we find the salvation now?
Yes. So as I said, this is not difficult, because if you look at the current depreciation of the cedi, Bank of Ghana has come out with 5 major reasons why the cedi is depreciating. And then if you look at those 5 reasons, the most important to tackle is about for the Bank of Ghana, especially when it comes to the excessive importation, Bank of Ghana cannot do anything about it now, because that one, it takes a long-term measure to solve it. And what about the dollarization? Bank of Ghana can solve it. So if you look at the Bank of Ghana, the recent August 17, 2022, they came out with a new policy rate, monetary policy rate, and then they gave reason why they have increased the policy rate from 19% to 22%. And some of the reasons they say, excuse me. Yeah. So some of the reasons they said, because of the oil bill, and then they are giving the strength of the U.S. currency, the strength of the U.S. dollar. So, but if you say the strength of the U.S. dollar is depreciating our cedi, who made the U.S. dollar? Who made the U.S. dollar to be to have a strength? Who made it? We made the U.S. dollar to have a strength. It is our fault, because you have not been able to stop the dollarization. You have not been able to stop the black market. The black market is just not difficult for the central bank to stop the black market. It's just a notice that, look, henceforth, we don't want to see anybody sitting somewhere illegally exchanging money. This thing is not difficult for the central bank to do this. Yes, you said the central bank should be an independent body. We'll talk about it. How independent is the Central Bank of Ghana? As the conversation goes on, we'll discuss about it. How independent is the central bank of this country? Whether it is independent or not, we will see that. We will see that. So it is not difficult for the central bank to make sure that the city is stabilized. I think that the central bank should be able to stop the dollarization, and then the black market. The central bank should be able to stop the black market. And if the central bank is able to stop the black market, we will see the improvement in the city performance.
Good. You'll see that the statement that you are making reference from the Bank of Ghana, that they have increased their monetary policy rate.
Yes.
In the recent statement, giving reasons for that increase. Mm-hmm. What is the impact of the increase of the monetary policy rate on an ordinary Ghanaian on the street?
Very good, Doc, very good. Look, if you look currently, I think the topic for the discussion is the true state of the economy. Currently, as we are speaking now, all the macroeconomic indicators that are used to assess the performance of an economy are not favorable at all. They are not favorable. All the macroeconomic indicators that we can use to assess the performance of the economy, whether the economy is doing well or not, are not favorable. And one is the policy rate. The Bank of Ghana increased the policy rate by 300 basis points from 19% to 22%. This is not a good thing. It's not a good thing. The reason is that if you increase the policy rate, you are saying that interest rate should go up. So when you increase the policy rate, you increase the interest rate. When you increase interest rate, bank interest rate, you increase the cost of doing business will be higher. Cost of doing business will be expensive. Cost of doing business will be expensive. When cost of doing business is expensive, cost of production will increase. When cost of production increase, unemployment, it will lead to unemployment. It will lead to unemployment. When cost of production increase, it will lead to unemployment. Look at the situation we are facing as a country now. And then the central bank, instead of the central bank prior to the announcement of the new policy, I emphasize that the best thing that the central bank could do was to maintain the policy rate at 19%, because the policy rate at 19% is even higher, or was higher. If you look at it, the West African economy, African countries, Europe, elsewhere, 19% is already higher. Well, because in West Africa, you are even having 4%, 5%, 8%. So 19% is already higher. And then they increase it to 22%. That is by 300 basis points. The main reason why they increased the policy rate from 19% to 22% was to control the inflation. But the Bank of Ghana has done this 5th time. Anytime they increase the policy rate, the aim was to reduce inflation. However, inflation does not reduce. Inflation keeps on increasing. This is the 11th time or even more that inflation has been increasing consistently. Inflation has been going up. 11 consecutive time, inflation has been going up. So why do you then increase the policy rate again? Once the tools that you are using to control inflation is not working, you have to. That is why it is important to know that the current trend of the inflation, it is not monetary policy that can use to control it, but rather fiscal policy. The current inflation rate needs fiscal policy intervention more than policy rate. more than monetary policy, because the Bank of Ghana has done it fifth time or fourth time, and it is not working. So why do you still use that tool? Yes, we know that the tools available to the central bank is to use the policy rate, the open market operation, the OMO, the required reserve ratio. They have been using it, but it is not helping. So if you are using your tools and it's not solving the problem, why do you continue to increase it? Meanwhile, increasing the policy rate has a negative impact on the economy, as I outlined, because increasing the policy rate will increase cost of borrowing. When cost of borrowing increase, cost of production will increase. When cost of production increase, that is cost of doing business, it leads to unemployment. Because if the businessman or the businesswoman cannot, the businessman will ask people to, oh, please, go home. Go home. When things start doing well, we will call you back. So it has a negative impact. The reason why they did that is not working. So I don't think that they should increase the policy rate again. But look, another reason why the central bank increased the policy rate was to increase the treasury bill, so that government will borrow from the public. Because you know that because of the downgrade, now we cannot borrow from the international financial market. We cannot borrow, we cannot get money. Now we can't get money from the international financial market. So the best thing to do now is to do domestic borrowing. But doing so, it will lead to something called crowding out effect. Crowding out effect, because government is now competing with the public, businesses, and the banks will not give the money, the loan, to individuals or to the businessmen and women. Rather, they'll give it to government, because you and I cannot compete government, because they know that government will not default. The worst thing, government will print money and pay back. So they prefer giving them the loan to government. So government is now competing with individual businessmen and businesswomen and the general public. So, but when it happens like that, then unemployment is what we are going to face. Higher unemployment. At the moment, Ghana graduate unemployment is higher. So,
are you sure? Please, are you sure of this? Because the Minister of Employment said, and even I think I hear the Vice President also made the same statement that Ghana's unemployment rate is even better than that of the United Kingdom. So, well, that is just a political talk.
we know. It is not true that the Ghana's unemployment is better than United Kingdom. It cannot be true. It cannot be true. So, but yeah. So what we are saying is that recently utility tariffs also went up. So cost of doing business at the moment is very expensive. So Bank of Ghana increasing the policy rate, that will have a negative impact on the economy, especially on cost of doing business and then unemployment. It is also not a good thing. But I said the Bank of Ghana. You said the Bank of Ghana is supposed to be an independent body. So I have said that the monetary policy should not be a slave to fiscal policy. See, because at the moment, if central bank has tried more than 4 times and then it's not working, what about the fiscal policy aspect? Because we have two main policies in times of difficult like this. Two main policy must work. The central bank has done, in fact, they have done what they are supposed to do, because the available tools, the tools available to them, they have used it, they have exhausted it. So why not the fiscal aspect of the economy? Yeah. So you see, there's even the government statistician, the Professor Kobna Enim, said that the current trend of the Ghana's inflation needs fiscal policy intervention more than monetary policy. So where
does the fiscal policy intervention come from? Is it a tool available to the Bank of Ghana or the economic management team, or who?
Yeah, the fiscal policy from the government and the economic management team. The fiscal policy is whereby the government the government through the finance minister and then the economic management team use the tools available to them also to stabilize the economy. Whereas the monetary policy, whereby the central bank use the tools available to them to stabilize the economy. So the central bank has done it. It is not working. What about the fiscal policy aspect? We are not seeing anything. We are not seeing anything on the fiscal policy aspect. So
I'm
the
not sure.
central
I'm
bank
not
shouldn't
sure. You finish. I was thinking
Yeah.
that
So
the government.
monetary policy should not be a slave to fiscal policy, whereby anytime the government thinks that things are not working, then they push the monetary policy aspect to do it all the time. No, the central bank is supposed to be independent body. The central bank should say no to the continuous pushing. It's not good. It's not helping the economy.
That is quite interesting. But I'll just come in there. Well, somebody was asking me that so essentially, what's the difference between the roles of the Bank of Ghana and the government economic management team? Because we're told very well before you come in, we're told very well that His Excellency the President had already informed us that the person who stabilized the city during the period of His Excellency John Ajakum Kufuor was his running mate. And that explains why he brought him on board to ensure that they stabilize the city and stabilize the economy and move Ghana from taxation to productivity. Unfortunately, what we are seeing now seems to be the opposite. Just like His Excellency himself said that if the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. Today, we are at that level. So where do we point our fingers at now?
Yes. So at the moment, it's all about leadership. It's all about leadership. We need strong leader, political will, strong leader and political will to do some things right. To do some things right, because another contributing factor to the city depreciation is the excessive borrowing. There has been too much borrowing. At the moment, the government must stop borrowing and focus on revenue generation. Whatever we are supposed to do to generate enough revenue, we should do that and stop the borrowing. Because when you borrow, interest payments, some of the borrowing we have to pay it in foreign currency, and then also we put pressure on the city again, because interest payment alone, in I think between January to last month, interest payment alone constitutes 60% of our domestic revenue. 60% of our domestic revenue. So it means that all the money, all the revenue that we are mobilizing, we are using it to pay interest on loans. So we don't even have much. So 60% on domestic borrowing, how much is left? The 40%. What about government bill, wages and salary, which also constitute a larger percentage? So obviously nothing is left for capital development. So it is now the duty of the economic management team to sit down to use the fiscal policy. If they think they are unable to do it, then it is important for national dialogue. It is important for fresh ideas to come on board. It is important. The reason why it is important for a national dialogue is that, honestly speaking, there's too much perception in the economy. There's too much speculation in the economy, and there's too much mistrust in the economy. And when there's speculation in the economy, it affects the financial sector. Speculation, especially the exchange rate.
The exchange rate
Is influenced by speculation. The financial sector is influenced by speculations. But when there's a national dialogue, whereby there is nothing like party A, party B, but Ghanaians come together to judge to the things that we can use to stabilize the economy, Then it is coming from MPP, it is coming from NDC, it's coming from everybody. Then there wouldn't be mistrust, there wouldn't be speculation, and there wouldn't be perception. So we need a national dialogue to stabilize the economy now, irrespective of political party. There should be a national dialogue, as the perception alone will not help us to solve the current problem that we are facing. The perception, whatever government is doing, people are sitting somewhere and say it will not work. And as soon as that voice comes out, it will not work. It will not work. Speculation. People are saying by the close of this month, the dollar will be 12 cedis. I mean, these are speculations. And you see, as soon as people hear this, they rush buy the dollar and then expecting that the dollar will increase. Mistrust. Whatever government is doing, whatever policy is coming out, people are saying it will not work. And that thing cannot help us in stabilizing the economy. So I propose there should be a national dialogue so that this perception, the speculation, mistrust will be no more. So that any policy that comes out from the national dialogue, people would now trust it. People will now believe that it will work. And when people believe that it will work, it will work. So
I quite agree with you, because during the time of Excellency John Dramani Mahama, where there were a big hitches in our economy, and that called for the Sanchi Conference, where it was open for a national dialogue. Unfortunately, the New Patriotic Party prevented even Osafo Mafo from attending it. And I believe strongly this time around, they are facing a problem of a higher magnitude, but pride might not allow. But I pray that the calls that many of you are making, government, your views that you are expressing, government will give a listening ear to it and call for a national dialogue, and then we will find a solution to where we are. Because within the next 3 months, if we don't take time, we will crash.
It is true.
We will crash. But before I ask you to proceed to give some solutions that we can rely on to relieve ourselves, if government would listen to ideas from people, especially within the academia, who suddenly puts off their political eyes and give the thing on a practical level, it might yield a lot of dividends. I will want to read a few comments from our viewers, and then we'll come back to it, and then we see what we can do. So from Kweku Adi, good evening, sir. Watching you from Amsterdam, Holland. Your guest is very knowledgeable. Beside it, you are most welcome. We are proud that you're always part of the program. Brimpombo, I love this station. No insults or argument. You only feed us with good information and news. Watching you from Warsaw, Poland. Oh, wonderful, Mr. Brimpom. Good to have you on the show. Jose Superior, watching you from Barcelona, Spain. Please ask your guest, can the economy of Ghana bounce back? Surely, that's the next question, line of questioning will come into, to see whether we can bounce back or we wouldn't. Yankee, watching you live from Accra, New Apelku. Hey, this is my first time of seeing such a name. Patience Darko, good evening, Doc. I'm watching you from Hamburg, Germany. Oh, as for Patience, we are very grateful that every show you are part and parcel of it. Kuntinana, good evening, sir. As for me, I give up on Ghana a long time because of the way our leaders are managing the country. Oh my goodness. Don't give up. Ghana is the only country, yeah, you are watching us from YouTube. Ghana is the only country that we have, and together we have to give it hope. As the guest rightly said, speculations and mistrust will lead us downwards. Nanata Fremu, I'm watching from Tatali, northern Ghana. We are waiting patiently for 2024 to correct our mistakes. We pray so that Ghanaians wouldn't make such mistakes any longer, but we need to move forward. Nanaya, I'm watching you live from Zule. Oh, where is that? It's in the Western region. I pray so. But we are proud that you are part of the show. NDC Diaspora Union. Good evening, Doc, and your team. Please ask him if the economy has totally collapsed or is near to collapse? I'm watching you on YouTube from Holland. Well, we will ask. I think from where we are, the government will tell you that we are not, it's not collapsed yet. Nanaya, once again, these measures need to put in place so that we'll feel free from hardships. Okay, we'll get to that, Nana. Umar Dennis, yay, big bro, good evening. Dr. GS, kudos to you and more grace to your elbows. Keep the torch shining. We're very grateful, big bro, and I hope you're also enjoying yourself down there. So basically, these are a few of the comments that have come in, and wherever you are, we're very grateful that you have joined us. And before I bring back my guests to try to give us a few solutions to the problem of which we believe that the government would listen to and help us, there is a video that I want us to take a listen and a watch, and then we ask the questions. Mr. Producer, if you're ready, kindly play that video for us.
And I command the city. Say, I hold this money in my hand right now. The city. Say, I hold up the city. I hold it up. Say, I hold up the city with prayer. And I command the city to recover. And I declare the city will not fall. It will not fall. It will not fall any further. It goes out. I command the city to climb. Say, I command the resurrection of the city. In the name of Jesus, say, I command a miracle for the economy. I command and release a miracle for Ghana's economy. In the name of Jesus, say, Satan, take your hands off the president. Take your hands off the central bank and the finance minister. Say, we release innovation for the president. My God, the governor of Bank of Ghana, Central Bank, in the name of Jesus Christ, the Son of God, the finance minister. Say, we command new ideas, breakthroughs, and a miracle for the economy. Let the city rise.
Our city is rising in the name of Jesus. Now, before we ran into difficulties with COVID-19, the president and then his government told us that they know how to bring back the economy, but they don't know how to bring back life. Thankfully, the COVID-19 has passed, or is still with us, but at a slower rate. And unfortunately, we didn't lose a lot of lives. So that they had to work to prevent. But to bring back the economy, there is a question mark. The president, again, just a few days ago, said he was relying on God's intervention to bring back the economy. Now we have the pastors led by this senior pastor praying and commanding the city to rise against the dollar. Want to find out from my guest, is that a practical solution to the problems of the country now? I hope my producer will bring my guest to answer my questions for me. As we wait for him, but it is a food for thought for all of us to look at it, that we are praying. We have seen it before. When His Excellency John Ajakum Kufuor was the president of the country, and Akosombo went down, we had pastors who had to go and pray over the Akosombo, so our gas filled and they could get electricity. When it was the time of John Dramani Mahama, he brought in investors, and then we brought in Amari and then all that, and then we got electricity running. Our industry came back. Today, our city is crashing, even though we have the economic messiah who is His Excellency the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. Our city is getting into the dish. Again, we have prayers. We've soon forgotten how Aglo had meetings left and right, praying for wisdom for the country and praying for change in leadership. Today, they are no longer praying for that. Where have we found ourselves as a country? Are we moving forward or we're going backwards? What we're promised by the politicians and they got our votes, is that what we are getting? Have we been misled? If yes, it's good for us to go out there and vote for a party that we can hold responsible to their own words. And Ghanaians must rise up to that. The time to rise up is now, and we need to make that happen. So we'll bring on our guests, and then we'll find out, Mr. Pat and Mr. Yankee, what are the solutions to these problems? The current issue is that the president is relying on God. The senior pastor is praying to God to let the cedi rise. Is that a practical solution, or is just an indication that Ghana is a failed state?
So, look, we are all believers. We believe in God, but at the moment, the problem we are facing, prayers does not come in now. We don't need prayers to solve our problems now. We need physical policy interventions to solve our problems. Government must do some things right to solve the problem. It is doable. It is doable. We have to, all that we are looking for now is for government to, as I said, to have a national dialogue. I think the national dialogue will be very, very helpful. At the moment, we have to, excuse me, my words, some of the expenditures that is not important, we have to stop them, because too much, the government expenditure is very, very, it's higher. The government expenditure
Can you
higher.
pinpoint on some of those expenditures? So Yankee,
Yeah,
just
so
some expenditures such as.
Yeah, for example, look, if I don't know, but if you are aware, you know that, for example, as gratia to Article 71 holders, it is not important. At the moment, we are waiting for money to pay our last term as gratia. We are waiting for money because last term as gratia has not been paid. We are waiting for money to pay as gratia. Some of the social policies interventions, free SHS has to be reviewed. We need to review free SHS. Those parents who are able to pay must make to pay. Some of the parents are able to pay. There are some parents paying dollars to take their children to so-called Montessori schools, international schools. They pay more than 5,000 Ghana cedis, 10,000 Ghana cedis. And when such child finish JHS, and you send that child to SS to go and eat free. The finance minister once said, those parents who can afford to pay must pay, so that we don't put too much pressure on our finances as far as free SHS is concerned. There are other expenditure that we need to stop. Loopholes in our revenue generations. Because if you go to the port, if you go to this, the Auditor General report alone is telling us we are losing over 12 billion. Over 12 billion every year. Auditor General's report. So it means that we can generate revenue. We can generate enough revenue to take care of the most important things that we are supposed to do. We have to do that. Until we do that, you see, I told you that the microeconomic indicators are not good. Our cedi is depreciating more than over 40 to 50% depreciation. The current debt to GDP ratio is more than 85%. It means that Ghana, even if you sell Ghana, you have to go and use more than 85% to pay debt. The worth of the country. If you sell all our properties, everything that we have as a country, the GDP is a measure of the country's value. So if 85% debt to GDP ratio is over 85%, it means that our 85% should go into debt payment. How much is left? Look at the current inflation rate. Inflation rate is almost 32%, 31.7, 32%. The inflation rate means that last year, if you bought something at 100 Ghana cedis, today you have to buy it at 132 cedis. Assuming your salary has not increased, where are you going to get that 32 cedis to pay? Inflation is not a good thing at all. It's not a good thing because inflation it reduces the value of the currency also. It reduces the purchasing power of the currency. So now, if last year you bought a bag of rice at 100 Ghana cedis, your salary is 100 Ghana cedis. You use all to buy bag of rice. Today, as I'm talking to you, it's 132 Ghana cedis. And your salary remains the same. Where are you going to get the 32 cedis to add up to your 100 Ghana cedis and buy the rice? Does it mean you shouldn't eat? So inflation is increasing all the time. The policy rate that is supposed to be the basic rate at which all the banks quote their interest rate is on the higher side, 22%. So you could see that as I'm talking to you, Guta is planning for a demonstration because what they are saying is that cost of doing business is very, very higher. Cost of doing business is very higher because now you have to go in for a loan more than 35%. How can you survive in such a competitive environment? You cannot survive. That is why you could see that the Chinese businesses are taking over because in China they are aiming at even 0%, 1%, 2%. They are aiming at 0% interest rate. Take the money, go and do business, and come and pay the principal. Once you are taking your loan at 35%, how can you compete with such a person, such a business? You can't compete. So in Ghana now you see China Mall, China Shop, they are taking over the economy. They're taking over the economy. If they take over the economy, where will the local businesses go? We cannot compete. So recently, Ghana has been downgraded to CCC. Dog, CCC is not good thing. From C, dog, ABCD, ABC, from C you are going to D. D means default. D means default. It means that even if you borrow, we cannot pay.
We can't pay.
Then the economy will collapse totally. And from C to D is not far. The distance between C and D is not far. So we are in a serious problem, a serious time. The problem is very, very critical. The problem is very, very critical. D, you see, as I'm talking to you now, Vodafone is leaving the country. Vodafone is leaving the country. This is a bad signal. No investor wants to invest in an economy whereby the currency keep on depreciating. So you put in 100,000 Ghana cedis today, the next year, the value of that 100,000, inflation rate is at 32%. It means that you need 32,000 Ghana cedis to add up to the 100,000 to do the same business. Whose businessman want to do this?
Will it be right if one says that the economy has been run down deliberately by the government led by the Minister of Finance? Because if you look at the number of times this government has gone to the Euro market, the Eurobond market, is higher than all the other governments that have passed within the Fourth Republic. And the good thing that has come out is that the bank of the Minister of Finance, Data Bank, which he has left his shares in trusts because he's not a minister there, is always the financial transaction advisor on the Eurobond market. So whatever amount that we get there, their percentage comes to them and the rest is used to finance debt. So will somebody be wrong to say that it's a deliberate attempt to run down and make sure that they position their personal investments?
Dog, yeah, it is true that this government has borrowed a lot. I think if you look at between 2017 till now, we have borrowed more than 11 billion US dollars.
Yeah.
11 billion dollars, which is a lot as compared to other governments. We have borrowed a lot. Yes, there's all the time an argument that they borrow to finance for interest payment. So yeah, there is coming back to the question that if it is a deliberate attempt, dog, I don't think our leaders, current leaders, meant bad for the country. That they are also citizens of the country. Um, the finance minister owing or having a percentage at a data bank. I think the data bank has qualified to be a advisor to this Eurobond. Just that there is a little conflict of interest. You and I know that
No,
because
there's conflict of interest or little conflict of interest. Conflict of interest, what will you describe as little or big?
yes, because dog, as far as the bank, the data bank, the investment bank qualified to be advisor to this the borrowing thing, because the bank is also in business, it qualifies. If it does not qualify, fine, that one we know that it's a derivative. But once the bank qualifies, and I think the bank has done it before MPP, the bank was doing it. So I think we should disassociate the finance minister from the bank now and deal with him as in charge of our finances. But when it comes to a deliberate attempt to benefit from the borrowing, no, I don't agree. I do not agree. I do not agree
Okay.
because the bank qualify. So I do not agree.
But the issue of conflict of interest does not override here.
There is a conflict of interest because once somebody will say you own the bank, you are a co-founder of the bank, and at the same time so that is why we have to look at appointment. We have to look at appointment. The appointment authority is to be blamed and not the person, because you know that the person has a bank, the person is into raising bonds, into advising government on bonds. So you appoint the same person or the same bank, the bank that the person is affiliated as a finance minister. Definitely, the bank will not stop because Mr. Ferrata has been appointed as a finance minister. The bank should not stop doing its business. The bank will not, because the bank is managed by other people and they are also into business. So that is why, so maybe the current finance minister could have been given a different portfolio. That one at least, there wouldn't be
But
a
the current finance
conflict of
minister
interest
is
there.
a finance minister who makes recommendation of a bank that acts as a transaction advisor. If you look at it again, you look at the Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance, Charles Edubuahene. He also has the same stockbroker that is also part of the system. So how come that this is just by coincidence, you know?
Yeah,
But
it's yes.
let's shift it. Let's shift the conversation. Our time
Yes,
is
let's
running
shift it.
out.
Let's shift it.
Let's shift
This
our
is a safe place.
conversation, and then we look at it. Just put yourself now. Government is listening to you from the academia point of view. What will be the best option that this government should take to help us come out of this difficult situation?
Okay. I think there should be a reshuffle to bring new ideas.
A
Yes.
reshuffle.
Yes, dog. If because the same people and then sending us to this where we are now, why should you have to maintain them? Does it mean in MPP they don't have anybody again
The
that have a
presidency
different?
The president says his ministers have performed creditably. So those asking
Dog,
for
if they are,
reshuffle
dog, if they are, the macroeconomic indicators should speak to that. The macroeconomic indicator that we use to assess the performance of the economy are not favorable. So if I am performing and then you are not seeing result, why do you say I'm performing? I disagree with the president. I disagree with the president on that. I disagree.
So, Mr. President,
So, no, it's very important. It's very important. New ideas are needed at this time. New ideas are needed. New faces. Because, dog, as I'm speaking to you now, there are people in MPP we know. There are people in this country we know that can turn things around. It's all about leadership. It's all about leadership. Nobody should say that Ghana the Enyeda, excuse me, my language. Ghana the Enyeda. No, it is not true. Ghana can work. Ghana can work. It's all about leadership. It's all about competent people. It's all about a listening government. I think academia, in academia, a lot of professors, economic professors, finance professors, the government statistician, even people within the MPP are speaking a lot, bringing solutions. So the government should be a listening government and try to implement these things that the people are bringing. People from academia, you listen to Lord Mensah, Professor Lord Mensah, University of Ghana Business School. You listen to a lot, Dr. Gashi, Professor Gashi, Cape Coast University. You listen to a lot, Institute of Fiscal Studies. Even industrial players are making useful suggestions that if we listen, government listen and implement them, we can put Ghana back on track. So, I think it will work. We need fresh ideas. We need national dialogue. At the moment,
Go on. Oh, okay. One more question before we just set off. I said one more question before we set off. What is your impression about Ghana going to the IMF? Will it yield any useful dividends for the country?
Yes. At this moment, we need it. It is a necessity, as things will collapse totally. So, despite that, we have been to the IMF several times, and then we are again going to the IMF. Nobody should say we don't need IMF at this moment. At this moment, we need IMF because if you look at the history, going to the IMF brings a lot of impact, positive impact. So let us go to the IMF and then come out from this serious issue. And then after that, we should know how to do our things right. So it is a necessity for the country to go to IMF at this moment.
But I'm sure you will make an underlining there that we are going to the IMF, but it should not be the same set of people who are managing the economy now who should use whatever comes from the IMF. Because if you have the same finance minister, you can give us all the money from the IMF, but it's still the same story.
I agree with you 100%. That is why I said this earlier, that we need new faces in government. We need new faces in government now. So going to the IMF is a necessity, but we need new faces in government now.
Very lovely. Mr. Patrick Yankee, we have been very grateful for your time this evening. And I think we just take a few minutes to give your parting words to our viewers and your friends, wherever they are, and who have joined for the program this evening.
Yeah, so, Doc, let me say something. So, let me conclude by saying that the immediate measures that Bank of Ghana should put in place to curb the current depreciation of the cedi is to issue notes to stop the black market and also issue notes to stop the dollarization. This is immediate because we cannot wake up tomorrow and hear that the CD to the dollar to the CD is $1.11 cedis. No, we don't want to hear that again. Where it is now is enough. So I plead with the central bank that as a matter of urgency, by tomorrow, this week, you should hear from the central bank that henceforth the black market does not exist. Henceforth, the dollarization has come to an end. These two notice will be a good signal that will impact positively on the cedi. I want to hear this from the central bank within this week. As the cedi to the dollar, the dollar to the cedi to the dollar performance will not be favorable for us within the week and beyond. Thank you very much. So, dog man. I greet my parents, my colleagues, lecturers at Regent University, and my friends wherever they are.
Yeah, okay. We are very grateful once again for you, our cherished viewers, wherever you find yourself. This is MyView show, and we're very privileged to have Mr. Patrick Kofi Yankee, who is a very proud product of the University of Cape Coast, UCC for short, and he is a lecturer at the Regent University College in Accra. We will once again welcome you next week at the same time on MyView show, and we'll share our views together. Wherever you are, have a blessed evening and good night to you all.
Thank you
so dogo binwa bem mampam also antie nani amuka nyina guna swati move swara mampam also antie move swara mampam also antie. Once upon a time animal called mampam. Any king where them go bring him. Mampam said that king know the force. Iga was a king. Mampam said he know the force.